Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurnadhrah Anaqi.
And my name is Noor Farhana.
And my name is Noor Anis Mintat Razak.
My name is Noor Safiyyah.
My name is Nurinsyirah.
Assalamualaikum. PR Group 7 we presented about existentialism. Existentialism is a way of thinking that focuses on the individual. It says that we are free, responsible, and able to shape our own life through the choices we make. It also highlights the idea that we create our own meaning and purpose. But this idea can be hard to understand because they are quite abstract. For example, when someone is choosing a career or dealing with family expectation, it's not always easy to see how concepts like freedom or responsibility play a role. This shows that there are often a gap between the theory and how people actually use it in real life. Studying existentialism better because it helps us understand how people face challenges, make decisions, and form their values. It also encourages us to think more deeply about our own freedom and how we create meaning in our life.
Now, I will explain to you about the concept and historical background of existentialism. Existentialism began in the 19th century with early thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Soren Kierkegaard. Later, Karl Jasper and Martin Heidegger developed its main ideas about human existence. The field of philosophy became famous in the mid-20th century when John Paul Sartre and Albert Camus popularized it through their books and public talks. It first started in Germany, then became well known in France, especially after Sartre lectures that made existentialism popular worldwide. Now, let's move on to the factor. The first factor is nihilism. Nihilism began in the 19th century when people started losing faith in religion, and science became the main way to understand the world. This made many feel lost and unsure about life purposes. As Nietzsche said, God is dead, meaning society no longer had a clear sense of meaning or direction. The next factor is Industrial Revolution. At the same time, the Industrial Revolution changed people's life. Work become more controlled by machines, and many feel like they're just a small part of system. Philosophers like Nietzsche and Kierkegaard and Heidegger criticize this kind of life, where people follow routines without real purposes. Together, these changes led existentialism to focus on individual freedom, authenticity, and the search for meaning in a world that often feels so empty.
In this part, I will talk about the characteristic of existentialism. The first characteristic is existence precedes essence. Existentialism believes that life can only be understood through our own individual experience, not through universal theories. Humans exist first and only then create their own meaning through their actions and choices. Sartre said, man first exists, turns up, and only afterwards defines himself. For example, a student unsure of his purpose of life may choose art because he likes painting. By making this choice, he creates his identity as an artist. Existentialists say this identity comes from his actions. Many young Westerners believe life has no original meaning and that each person must make their own purpose. The second characteristic is freedom and responsibility. Existentialists believe that humans are free to choose. By this freedom comes responsibility. Freedom doesn't mean we can do anything we want. It means we give meaning to life through our choices. Sartre views that man is condemned to be free. For instance, worker who quits his job to start a business must face the risk of that choice. Existentialism says he is fully responsible for the result. The slang "you only live once" YOLO shows how young people value freedom, but they must also accept the consequences if things go wrong. The third characteristic is anxiety. Kierkegaard saw anxiety as a natural part of human life, a kind of dizziness of freedom. It happens when we realize that we are completely free to choose and that every choice has some consequences. This awareness often causes fear and uncertainty. To illustrate, someone with several job offers may feel anxious about picking just one. Each choice leads to a different future and responsibility. Many young people today feel the same because they have many options in studies, careers, and lifestyles. The last characteristic is authenticity. Existentialism believes that to live authentically means to be true to yourself, not just follow others or chase temporary pleasures. Kierkegaard said an authentic person is one who is willing to be oneself. Sometimes, being authentic can even conflict with being moral, showing how heavy human freedom really is. For example, teenager who pretended to fit in finally chooses to live true to himself. He does what matches his values even if his friends do not accept it. Existentialists see this is as a step toward being authentic. Many modern people want to live authentically, putting themselves above social pressure.
Today, I will share how existentialism has influenced society, psychology, education, and even our modern lifestyle. Firstly, existentialism has shaped modern lifestyle and self-help culture. Many popular ideas today, such as live authentically, find your purpose, and choose your own path, come directly from existentialist thinking. These messages appear in TED Talks, motivational books, mental health campaign, and social media discussions about personal growth. Movements like minimalism and intentional living also reflect existential ideas about choosing what is meaningful and rejecting social pressure. Next, existentialism has greatly influenced psychology and therapy. Viktor Frank, a Holocaust survivor, developed logotherapy, a form of therapy that helped people find meaning in life. He observed that prisoners who held onto purpose were more emotionally resilient. Today, logotherapy is used to help people dealing with depression, trauma, and identity crisis. Rollo may also introduced existential ideas into American counseling, encouraging people to confront anxiety, make meaningful choices, and live authentically. His ideas helped shape modern humanistic psychology. Existentialism has strongly shaped social and political movement. A clear example is the 1968 student protest in France, where thousands of students and workers challenged government authority and demanded freedom and justice. Their actions were inspired by existentialist ideas about questioning oppressions and taking responsibility for change. Jean-Paul Sartre even joined the protest and delivered speeches supporting the students. Simone de Beauvoir also applied existential ideas to feminism. Her book, The Second Sex, argued that gender roles are shaped by society, and this inspired women's rights movement across the world. Lastly, existentialism also influenced education, especially modern learning methods. Instead of focusing on the memorizing fact, existentialists inspired education, encouraged students to think critically, ask questions, and explore ideas that truly matters to them. Students are given more freedom to express their thought and take responsibility for their learning. This approach appears in programs like in the International Baccalaureate, which emphasizes reflections and independent thinkings. This reflects the existential belief that individuals must create their own meaning. Overall, existentialism continues to influence how people think, live, and take responsibility for their life. It focuses on freedom, meaning, and authenticity, has shaped movement, therapy, education, and even the way we approach modern life.
For my part, I will explain the strengths and weaknesses of existentialism from an Islamic view. First, one strength of existentialism is that it encourages people to take personal responsibility. Existentialists believe that humans are free to make choices and must accept the result of their action. This is good for Muslims because Islam also teaches responsibility. Allah say in Surah Al-Mudahir, every soul is a pledge for what it has earned. This shows that in Islam, every person is accountable for what they do. So in this point, existentialism and Islam share a similar value. Another strand is existentialism focused on moral engagement. Existentialist thinker remind people to make conscious choice and not just follow other blindly. Islam also teach this. In Surah At-Tin, Allah say, we have certainly created man in the best of stature. This means Allah gave human the ability to think, reflect, and make good moral decisions. So both existentialism and Islam want people to act with the intention and awareness. However, existentialism also have weaknesses when we compare with Islam. Our major weakness is the atheist existentialists, will like Jean-Paul Sartre deny God existence. They believe life has no fixed purpose and that humans must create their own meaning. This becomes a problem for Muslims because we follow guidance from Allah. If people create their own meaning based only on feelings, their purpose can change easily lead to confusion. Islam teach the opposite. Allah said in Surah Ad-Dariyat, I did not create jinn and mankind except to worship me. This reminds us that our purpose comes from Allah, not from ourselves. Another weakness is how existentialism view the universe. It often sees the universe as indifferent or meaningless. For Muslims, this belief can be harmful because it may make a person feel disconnected from Allah or unsure about His plan. Islam teaches that everything happens with purpose. Allah said in Surah Az-Zumar, He is the creator of everything. This verse reminds us that nothing is random and Allah is always in control. If a Muslim believes the universe has no purpose, this can weaken their faith and make them doubt Allah's guidance. In conclusion, existentialism has some values that match Islam, like responsibility and moral awareness, but it also has ideas that goes against Islamic belief, especially about purpose and the meaning of the universe. Thank you.
In conclusion, existentialism highlights human freedom, personal responsibility, and the active creation of meaning. It shows how people shape their own life through the choices they make. As a reaction to the social changes, rising nihilism and industrialism, thinkers like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche, Sartre, and Camus explore key ideas such as authenticity, anxiety, and moral engagement. The influence of existentialism can be seen in areas like psychology, education, social movement, and even modern lifestyle practice, which show its practical importance today. While existentialism shares some similarities with Islam, especially in emphasizing ethical responsibility, it differs because it rejects the idea of the divine purpose. Islam, on the other hand, teaches that human life has inherent meaning given by Allah.
Eh, sedap tu. Tak jauh ke pergi TBG tu? Alah, RM10 je. Oh my god, what's wrong with you guys? Why you guys look so stressed?
We study, we stress, then we grow. What's the point of this life?
Same, everything feels like the same. Nothing really matters anymore.
It looks like you're having existential crisis. You're questioning your purpose of life.
But as a Muslim, don't we already know why we exist? In Surah Ad-Dariyat, ayat 56, Allah said in the Quran, I did not create jinn and human except to worship me.
But sometimes I don't feel it. I still feel like life is meaningless.
That's normal. Even Prophet SAW faced sadness, but he never gave up on his purposes in life.
Exactly. Existentialism says we must create a reason, but Allah has already given us a purpose, which is to serve Him and to do good.
That means we already have purpose in our life. We just need to remember it.
Yes, when we live for Allah, even a small thing like helping friend, studying, all have purpose.
Maybe life is not empty at all. I just looking at the wrong place.
Yeah, true meaning comes when our choices align with faith.
Islam always gives us the answer for everything.
Exactly. Islam turned our why into worship.
The purpose of our life is to be tested, and that's why we experience stress and hardships. Existentialists search for their own meaning during these struggles, which can lead themselves to confusion. But in Islam, our meaning is already guided by Allah. When life gets difficult, the tests bring us back to Him, and in that return, our hearts find peace.